Okay, welcome back, guys. How hard is it really to start a business? That's a great question. My name is Rios. I'm so glad to be here with you. We're going to share this with you. How hard is it really to start a business? Well, let's look at this. Starting a business is both easy and challenging. I mean, seriously, starting a business is quite simple. You go to your Secretary of State's website, you fill out your LLC paperwork, you get your LLC, you go to the the IRS's website, you get your FEIN, your federal identification number. So starting it is simple as far as the starting part. That's an easy thing to do. So the question was how hard is it really to start a business? Well, it's simple, except this is the challenging part. For most people, getting just to the Secretary of State's website is the hardest part because they don't believe in themselves enough to start a business. They don't believe that they have the resources to start a business. They don't believe that they know enough to start a business. They don't have the self-confidence to start a business. So we looked at, and check this out, we looked at this right here, and it can be challenging right there. Challenging, so starting a business can be challenging because you become the challenge, the individual. Because we'll find 100 things wrong and 100 reasons why it may not work, or we don't have enough information, or we don't have this, or we don't have that. But the starting part's simple if you can just get past you. And that's not hard to do. So you just got to believe in yourself a little bit more, but also prepare and educate yourself in ways that will help you have the confidence and believe that you can do it, what it is you want to do. You probably already have a skill set that you're probably going to monetize. You know, and especially in the service businesses, some kind of skill, whether it be a plumber, electrician, an HVAC, power washer, house cleaner, carpenter, remodeler, handyman, whatever it is, you probably already have that skill. So the confidence that you can do that is there, but do you have the confidence that you can start the business, get clientele, make the business work? And so that's where the challenge lies. Is it hard to start a business? No, it's not hard to start a business, but sometimes it's hard to get past who you are as the individual. Who you are as the individual is what holds you back more than anything else than the actual starting the business part. So that's why I said it can be both easy and challenging, but the only challenging part is always going to be you. Look in the mirror. That's going to be the number one challenge. And it could be you, and especially if you're married, it could be you might have all the confidence, you might have all the reach, you might have everything you need, but then your spouse is not on board with you. So now that becomes another challenge. So if you're married, I suggest you both get on the same page, because I can promise you, I've seen it in business coaching, helping people. When a husband and wife aren't on the same page, it's dramatic. It's horrible. It's just a miserable experience. So make sure you're both on the same page with the same vision, going in the same direction. That helps tremendously. But starting, once again, is pretty simple. Okay, let's go to number 2. You're going to need some unique skills. When you start a business, you're going to need some unique skills. The number one skill I wrote down was sales. You're going to have some salesmanship skills that you're going to have. And if you don't have them, go take a class on sales. Go read 10 books on sales. Read every subject on sales, especially in your industry, because if you can't sell, you're not going to stay in business. Or you're going to have to find someone who can work for your company who can sell. But when you're just starting out, it's going to require you to have these unique skills in order for your business to be successful, because maybe it's just going to be you doing the work, maybe you and one other person. So it's going to depend on you to sell and to have these skills of salesmanship. Because what I see a lot is girls will say, well, I'm not a salesperson. I don't do sales. I don't even like it. I hate sales. But if you're going to go into business, you have to learn to love sales, because everything revolves around sales. Nothing happens until a sale is made. There is no money exchanged until a sale is made and a sale is closed. You have to sell something in order to get something back from that client. You have to give something, you give them something, they give you something. That's something they give you is the money. So learning salesmanship skills is going to be the biggest driver for your business. That's why I wrote it first, because if you can't sell, you better learn to sell. Here we are, communication. Whoo! People buy you. They buy you all the time, especially when you first go into business. You're trying to communicate who you are, what you do, how you do it. If you're not good at talking in front of people, if you're not good at communicating with people, I suggest you go join a Toastmasters club. Toastmasters is great for learning communication skills in front of other people. It'll cost you just a very little, tiny bit of money, but it's worth every second of your time to go to a Toastmasters event every single week. This is where you'll learn public speaking skills, you'll learn communication skills, you'll learn impromptu speaking skills. It'll help you become so much better at communicating to different people. You might have a lawyer in there, a doctor in there, a plumber in there, electrician in there. You could have every walk of life in these meetings, from a secretary to a chiropractor, you name it, they're going to be in these Toastmasters because they're there to learn how to be better communicators. Your goal is going to be learning how to, remember, acquire some unique skills because that's going to help you to be a better communicator. And when you can communicate well, guess what? Your sales skills go from here to there. Everything about sales is about communication, how you communicate those things to that client. That's going to make all the difference for you. Okay, so next one is finance. I suggest you learn some finance skills. If you don't have any, I suggest you hire an accountant at the start when you start that business. Get you a CPA lined up, have them help you set a budget, have them help you set the direction and the vision of the financial aspect of your business as far as where it's going to go, how you're going to do it, how you're going to create your prices, how you're going to create your packages, how you're going to manage your big picture finances, your taxes, and all these different things. Do this at the start of your business. It's a worthwhile investment to hire the CPA you plan to use for your taxes, because I promise you, if you don't have this unique skill and understand finances and how to manage your business's finances, I promise you, your business is going to struggle. You're going to be like, what the hell happened? Where'd all the money go? Why don't we have any money? All because you didn't manage the finances, or you didn't understand certain aspects of the finances of what you should know. I was working with a guy, and I talked about this before. He was losing $20,000 a month because he did not understand how much he should be charging. He was charging way too little, so therefore he's losing $20,000 a month. That's a big number. And I've seen other companies lose in the tens of thousands as well, because that's just them not understanding the financial aspects of their business and where their business should be and what they're doing. Now, there's a lot of other things that go into that, but we're not going to talk about that today. We're talking about, is it really hard to start a business? Remember, we talk about yes and no, but you need unique skills if you're going to go into business, because that's going to help you grow as a business owner and be way more intelligent than most people will ever be. All right, number 3 is you will wear many hats. When you first go into business, you're going to wear a lot of hats. You might be the person doing the jobs, selling the jobs, answering the phone, putting things into the computer. You might be working 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day because you're wearing all the hats. I would suggest this. If you could figure out a way to subcontract some of those hats out to other people. My bookkeeping, I always contracted that out to a bookkeeper outside of my own personal business. I wanted them to be out of the business. This way, the bookkeeping was done. It made everybody stay honest. But it was a great way for me to be able to manage the parts I was really good at and not spend the hours of trying to figure out how they do what they do. He was an accountant, charged me $500 a month, cheap. My stress was from here to there. I didn't have to worry about those things because he managed it weekly. Every week it was managed. And every single month we would do a budget. We would look at the budget, see how we're doing, see what we're doing, how we're doing, where we're going. We would always adjust based on his recommendations. So the point of that is if you can sub something out that you're currently doing that you don't absolutely have to do, sub it out to somebody else. Allow them to do that. If you need a virtual assistant, sub that out to a virtual assistant to answer your phones. Sub it out to somebody else if that's going to help streamline your business and make your business flow easier and more efficient. That's going to be key to help you. Okay, number 4. This is going to be a big one here. Mental toughness. Mental toughness is going to be your biggest and most needed thing you're going to have in your entire business is being mentally tough, having some grit. Because I promise you, things are going to get hard. They're going to get challenging. And it's going to challenge you in ways you'll never imagine. You'll be like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't even know how to handle this. There was one time, I'll tell you a quick story. I was having the worst day of my life. Business was struggling. I was, 6 years into business. I remember sitting on the side of my bed that morning, and I just sat there and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I prayed, and I said, Lord, you must totally hate me, God. You just must totally hate me. And I was just crying. I was having a pity party, a bad pity party. But I was really struggling, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to climb out of this hole at that time in my life. So that morning, we went to the office, got there, 10 o'clock in the morning, phone rings. Someone else answers the phone. They said, hey, is Eric Rios there? And they're like, Yeah, but he's not available. Because everybody always called the owner, so we always said, tell him I'm just not available. Because everybody under the sun wanted to talk to me. So our office staff, they said, hey, this guy said God told him to call you. I'm like, dude, I got to hear this story. My son's like, yeah, Dad, this guy said God told him to call you. I said, okay, let me talk to him. I said, hey, this is Eric. How can I help you? The guy goes, hey, my name is so-and-so. You don't know me, and I don't know you. I'm 76 years old, and I was sitting there praying, and God told me to call you. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'll bite. First of all, how did you figure out even who I was? The guy goes, well, that's a funny story. I'm sitting there praying, and God said, open this phone book. He said, now put your finger down. I put my finger down, and I put my finger on your face, which had your name on it. Because every time I did advertisements, I always had my face and my pictures in my advertisements. So he put his finger on my face, and my name was there. So in my phone number, he called me. He said, God wanted me to tell you, it's all going to be okay. Oh my God, it was just, and that morning, I remember that morning I was sitting there crying and praying, God, you must totally hate me. And then all of a sudden, God calls and says, God wanted me to tell you, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. So that was the big push for me to just keep on going. I always use this book here called 3 Feet from Gold. Buy the book. If you're going to go into business, buy that book, 3 Feet from Gold, because it's going to change your life as to how you do business. It's going to change your whole dynamic of who you are as a businessman, and it's going to give you the mental toughness and the grit to keep moving forward. Because when things got hard, I always said this to myself. I said, I'm always just 3 feet from gold. I said that all the time. I'm 3 feet from gold. I'm 3 feet from gold. I'm 3 feet from gold. I'm not going to tell you the story. I want you to buy the book and read the story, because if you buy the book and read the story, I promise you it's going to change your mindset. You're always going to be thinking differently. You're always going to be thinking better. You're always going to continue pushing, because that story is going to keep pushing you. Just think you're always 3 feet from gold. Don't forget that. All right. Long-term vision and planning. When you're going to be in business, you need some long-term vision and planning. Start looking at where you want to be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Give yourself something to work towards. Give yourself a plan to work towards, because this is going to be tremendous and valuable to keep pushing you forward in the right direction. I know I want to be here, so I'm going to keep pushing until I get where I want to be. But you got to have that long-term vision, and you got to be able to plan that out. You're going to plan that out with your staff, with your spouse, with your accountant, with some of your key players in your business, and then you're going to share the big vision with your employees and your staff as you grow, so they're all going in the same direction. Because you don't want to just hold it to yourself and just sort of hoard it. Well, you want to be able to share this vision, these long-term vision, these long-term ideas, these long-term goals, and plus also you need to have the short-term goals and the short-term vision. Both of these are so important to have. So make sure that when you go into business, you're going to have some long-term goals as far as where you want to be. Because if you know where you want to go, now you can develop a plan to get to where you want to go. It's a heck of a lot easier to get somewhere if you know where it is you want to go. So make sure you get the long-term vision and plan it out. Number 6 is this: continued education. As you grow in business, you only know what you know until you know more. So you're always going to have to continue learning, because you're always evolving. So you got to always become better. This makes the difference. If you're not willing to learn how to be better at what you do and who you are and how you do it, you're just sort of wasting your time. Learn to become the best version of yourself, and I promise you, you'll be very happy that you did. That's going to change the whole dynamic of how you do business, is the constant learning. I spent $25,000 hiring a business coaching company in 2011 for my business. I learned more in 3 days than I did in 3 years of being in business by myself. But I also did this. I also generated an additional $500,000 in revenue that year from that $25,000 investment. So invest into yourself. Invest into who you are, what you are, and how you're going to do it. I promise you, your life will change. Okay? So let's just recap real quick. How hard is it really to start a business? It's not hard at all, but it's also challenging. But you're going to need some unique skills: sales, communication, and finance. 3 key unique skills. You'll wear many hats, subcontract some of those hats out to other people. You're going to need mental toughness. Remember, buy the book, 3 Feet from Gold. I get nothing from that book. Buy the book, because it'll change your life. Have some long-term vision and planning. And last one, invest into yourself. Education. Become the best version of yourself as to who you are and what you do, and become the very best in what you do. You guys got this. My name is Eric Rios. If you need help growing your business, shoot me a text message at 314-591-0479. Can't wait to talk to you.